In Brett Yormark, we trust, right? I think. And guess who's back? That's right, Bedlam's back. Back again. Tell your friends, Bedlam's back, Bedlam's back, Bedlam's back, Bedlam's back for C.J.Nickson.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at All Day O State. Today, we're partially brought to you by LinkedIn. Today's hiring is a complete crapshoot. You don't know what you're going to get, so make sure that you have the right professionals that can help you find your team members faster and for free. Post your job today at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. Terms and conditions apply. There are some terms and conditions when it comes down to the Bedlam battle of C.J.Nickson. Now, from a film perspective, statistically, we've covered some of the things that he's been able to do on the football field. What makes him so versatile? The fact that he can play both sides of the ball, currently playing wide receiver. Not only is he playing wide receiver, but he's over the 1,500-yard club, 1,535 yards. And then in basketball, in the last 3 games, he scored 53 points and had 23 boards, which is why he's got several Division I offers. This versatility is precisely what Oklahoma State kind of lives for. Now, the fun thing here for CJ, it's not just that he's gone over the 1,535-yard mark in the football field. He's also scored 1,685 points on the basketball court, which is the all-time Weatherford class record. This guy was obviously going to be the top guy in the state, or at least one of the top 3 players in the state of Oklahoma, throughout this recruiting process. And in this recruiting process, he's had all of the heavy hitters on him, right? Auburn, OU, Texas. Most recently, he did make some pretty nice comments about Mississippi State, but he also released his final 2. It's down to Bedlam, OU and OSU. And we're not going to take any consolation prizes here, but I will say this is an accomplishment in and of itself because a few months ago, we were not even on C.J.Nickson's top 10 board. Not at all. Now we're on his top 2. Now this is because mainly due to Paul Randolph. Paul Randolph has that legendary kind of name that allows him to get into some situations, right? To get in some meetings that he maybe typically wouldn't. And this has opened the door. It's not just Paul Randolph though, right? Coach Duffy has been heavy-handed in part of this. Obviously, Mike Gundy's instrumental in trying to dictate the terms of why he should come to Oklahoma State. Todd Bradford, clearly, he's great about identifying talent and finding the right people. DJ Linton deserves a shout-out as well. You know, he just went on a recruiting trip. I think Robert Allen or somebody in Pokes Report put something out in regards to him being hosted by Iman Oates and Ollie Gordon. Obviously, I mean, that's a pretty good representation because you have somebody coming from the JUCO ranks, right? So he can give a little bit of a transfer feel on what he's, been able to do at Oklahoma State as far as the progression. And then you also have Ollie Gordon, who obviously everybody in the country knows who he is, and you're kind of showing him the ropes. And Ollie's somebody that decided to come back to Oklahoma State, regardless of all the money and this and that and the other. So the dichotomy between those two being part of his hosting, obviously it was, on purpose, but it does give credence to the fact that this is a serious battle. He wouldn't have announced the final 2 if it wasn't. We also got to give CJ, right, some congratulations in here. Beautiful marketing, sir, to pit Oklahoma and Oklahoma State against each other when Oklahoma's been the long-time destination. And this is the crystal ball analysis all has him going to OU. But everybody's had him going to OU for a few months now. Again, we went from not even in his top 10 to in his top 2 in a very short amount of time. And he hasn't made an announcement yet. Therefore, this is a real race. And he wants to play both sports. We need to get Steve Lutz, up to speed there. But whenever you're talking about playing both sports, there is absolutely zero comparison between playing in Lloyd Noble and Gallagher-Iba. There's absolutely zero comparison in the teams that Oklahoma State and Oklahoma are going to be bringing forth this season. And then if you look at the future, the recruiting that we currently have is already stellar, right? It's going to likely be the greatest class in Oklahoma State history. If C.J.Nickson were to commit, it would solidify that as a done deal, even if we didn't get a single other person. The two sports is actually perfect for us. We're in a situation, especially in basketball, where we need bigger dudes. We need guys that are going to help solidify the future of Cowboy basketball. The work ethic, the mentality, the toughness, the just grind it out way of life in Stillwater might be suited for somebody like CJ. The ability to switch over offensively, defensively, it's insane. Like, he could legitimately play tight end, not like a Cowboy back situation where we're taking a DN, turning him into a fullback, and then a tight end. Not that. He legitimately could play wide receiver in college. He could gain 15, 20 pounds and be an All-American tight end in college. Or he can keep his hand in the dirt and do the daggone thing from the outside because his athleticism speaks for itself. It's kind of a cheat code watching his film because he's just better than everybody else on the film. But we've discussed, whenever you watch somebody come from the JUCO ranks to Division I or D3 to this level, i.e. somebody like a Leon Johnson or Justin Kirkland, maybe it's a little bit more difficult to diagnose the film because there's not as much out there. But when you do get your hands on some of this stuff, you can traditionally see the thing. You don't need the eyeball test to validate, right? You can see the quickness. You can see the read and react. You can see the eye discipline. You can see the understanding of route concepts. You can see a quarterback go through his progressions and understand what the defense is. You can typically see, regardless of what the competition is, what the quarterback can do, right? And then it's against better competition that you see, those things play out. But C.J.Nickson is a cheat code at Weatherford. Again, the yards speak for themselves. The points on the hardwood speaks for themselves. His last few games that I just looked up were absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that we have gone from not even in consideration to the top two, primarily due to a move like a Paul Randolph, this is big. And he should come to Oklahoma State because we're going to be able to do more in football. It just is what it is, right? We're going to be able to do more, experience more, have more fun because winning is fun and winning equals opportunities. Opportunities equal Big 12 title games, college football playoffs, so on and so forth. We should control the new Big 12. Having guys like you and Jalen Beckley and Landon Cleveland and Gunnar Wilson are going to allow us to do that. This is about the future security of Oklahoma State. And I've said this before. If we continue to win, right, we end up in the Big 12 title game, and let's say OU goes 5-7. I don't think that they will, right? But okay, let's flip it. Let's say OU goes 7-5, which is possible. 8-4 seems pretty likely to me. But let's say they go 7-5, right? And we play for a Big 12 title game. Let's say we win the Big 12. Let's say we lose the Big 12 title game, and we still make the CFP. And that's going to be contingent upon records. I understand that. But if OU's 7-5, and then they have another 7-5 type of season, 8-4 type of season. Meanwhile, Oklahoma State's winning 10 games, 11 games, 11 games, 12 games. The trajectory is going to be better for Oklahoma State. And you want more opportunities because it's more film, it's more scouts, it's more games. And sometimes all it takes is one time in front of one right scout, the right guy. C.J.Nickson has the makeup of being a Cowboy. Everybody in the world's been calling him a Sooner for months. But if that was the case, wouldn't he already be a Sooner? If he was so dead set on going to OU and disregarding Auburn, Mississippi State, all the other SEC schools, then I think it would already be a done deal. I think Oklahoma State has a real shot here. I think Paul Randolph and Coach Duffy and Gundy have kind of, isolated this target. Because if they have those seasons and we have these seasons, then we can control the recruiting in the state. Now, we've discussed Lincoln Riley didn't really give a hoot about recruiting the main guys in Oklahoma, which was what allowed us to get the guys like Talon Shetron and Colin Oliver. That's not going to be the same under Brett Venables. Brett Venables is going to want to dominate Oklahoma recruiting and Texas, right, for the most part. But this is something that I feel like we definitely can capitalize on. If we are going to Big 12 title games year after year after year, right, then we should be able to secure the top recruits in the state of Oklahoma. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but this would be a good start. Is he still leaning OU? Likely, yes. He does have a very good relationship. He has been in on them for a long time. But I think how fast Paul Randolph has risen in his mind is great for Oklahoma State. And the fact that he's announced this top two, it's great for him, for marketing, NIL, all of that. But it's also great for us because it does let people realize that the recruiting class that you're seeing, the people that you're coming in to visit, it's not fictitious. It's not a mirage. This is what Oklahoma State is building, and the season will validate that, in my personal opinion. We need that. We need that validation. This is that year, again, capitalization, validation, call it what you want to call it. But the recruiting is starting to line up with the success on the field. So if we continue to have this level of success, I think the recruiting will be where it belongs. Oklahoma State is a top 20 to top 30 recruiting team. We always have had that ability. And I think if you look at the development of some of the guys within the Rob Glass system that have then gone on to the NFL, imagine what that would be like with a bunch of four-star dudes coming in, right? And we've had this discussion. We used to take a 6-foot linebacker that was 205 pounds, right? And then get him to 225, 235, and work on his speed enough to maybe turn him into a viable asset. Well, now we've got freshmen, the 17, 18-year-old linebackers walking on campus that are already 6'3", 230. This is a luxury that Oklahoma State hasn't had for quite some time. We now have these luxuries. C.J.Nickson is going to fit into that mold of what the Cowboy culture has been revamped to. This is the new standard. We're about to prove that this year. C.J.Nickson needs to be a part of this new standard. If you control Oklahoma recruiting, then the future is insanely bright, no matter how it goes, right? Just like for you to have the right future, you got to have the right people. And in order to do that, you have to sift through all the craziness. It is a crazy world right now in the hiring department, right? People don't want to do the same things per se. Maybe they don't want to work the same hours as they used to. Get rid of all the craziness. With LinkedIn, they're going to help you find the right team faster and for free. With over, 86% of small businesses utilizing LinkedIn, you should too. 2.5 million businesses are already using it. That 86% of small businesses are precisely where you need to fit in. Hire the professionals, like a professional, with the professionals at LinkedIn. They're constantly finding ways to make the process easier for you. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process quicker. Make sure you go post your job for free today at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That is linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Post your job for free today. Terms and conditions apply. Kenny Gajewski has terms and conditions. Now, I don't know that I love the news of the stadium getting some additives, some renovations, some facelifts, some new seating. But basically, they're going to keep adding on to the wooden deck that we put around the outside of the fence. I think from what I've gathered, they're going to make it bigger. They're going to add on to it, make it more like official. They're going to do some stuff to the inside as well. So they're going to fancy it up a little bit, which is good. Kenny Gajewski definitely deserves that. And with the class that Kenny Gajewski's been able to bring in, right, just the freshman class, the future of Oklahoma State is insane. This season, although it didn't go exactly how we maybe wanted it at the end, I think all of us would have to take a pause and realize that this team was super young, younger than we typically are. And it gives us a really good, launching point for the next seasons. Because the freshman class is going to be one of the top ranked, as it always is, as it should be, right? Let's see, freshman class. We've got pitcher, first base, big time recruit. From Katy, Texas, Montgomery Henderson. Then we also have shortstop, pitcher, and center fielder Aubrey Jones from Gaylord, Michigan. She was instrumental in this class kind of taking some major shape. You got another pitcher, Malayla Smith from Needville, Texas. You have another outfielder and first baseman, Libby Jaquez from Moore, Oklahoma. Gabby Castillo from Richland, Texas. And Jay Austin from Owasso, Oklahoma. That freshman class is already going to be, right? It's already going to be one of the top classes in Oklahoma State history, which is now becoming pretty normal under Kenny Gajewski. Another thing that's become normal is transfer destination style place. And that has become Oklahoma State. We have become a destination, right? We just got news that Kenny Gajewski is assembling the Avengers. We got the number one pitcher transfer in America. We got another top 4 transfer pitcher in America. We got the number one catcher transfer in America. This has become the destination for some primetime players. The Baylor transfer, obviously, we're very familiar with, Riley Crandall. We are familiar with her because she dominated Oklahoma State when she did step on the mound. She's an All-American for a reason. Her ERA is something that I think that will get even better when she's at Oklahoma State. I don't think this is a knock on Baylor. Baylor's a pretty good ball club, but a 3.20 ERA is something that we can get better, right? It's amazing to see this level of recruiting from Kenny Gajewski. And the difference is between somebody like Kenny Gajewski, Mike Boynton recruited this way, right? But he didn't make it a transfer destination. But Ruby Malin was the number one transfer as far as pitchers go in the portal by far. She's an All-American, all first team Pac-12, both years over at Washington. This All-American brings something to the staff. And this is, I was talking to my buddy Shannon the other day. What's absolutely insane about this deal is you take somebody with a 2.1 ERA, you combine them with somebody with a little over 3-point ERA, and somehow Oklahoma State has Lexi Kilfoyle, who's in the voting, right, for top 3 best players in all of the country. And we also had Ivy Rosenberry, who's more than adequate at this level to help get us back to the World Series. And we get better. This is insane. We lose 2 phenomenal pitchers, one of the best pitchers in all of the country, and we get better. That's nuts. Rob Walton, take some lessons, all right? Now, I will admit what Rob Walton has been doing recently, I don't have a problem with. The pitchers that we've been bringing in, pretty cool. But this softball super team is insane. We have to take into consideration how young we were this previous season. So that means we're only losing a few girls, right? And we've only had a couple transfers. We are the destination. And we got to talk about the catcher too, right? We can't forget. Coming out of NC State, Amanda Hassler. And we need this because Caroline Wong obviously is graduating. You can never have somebody back there to help, control the game. You can't have enough of them. And she comes in after hitting 351 and 18 bombs last year. And she also led NC State in RBIs with 45. So we've got 2 of the best pitchers, right? So the Washington pitcher, she was legit the number 1 pitcher ranked in the portal. And then Ruby Malin. Riley Crandall was either between number 3 and number 5, right? Predicated on different services of top players in the portal. And then Amanda Hassler was the number 1 catcher in the portal. This man needs a stadium. But we are fancying some stuff up. We are bringing some people in. And we have now become that spot. Of course, OU is still OU. But Oklahoma State is coming. A lot of us thought that maybe we had the talent to do something this season. I think that we did. But I think the youth caught up to us when the World Series started. Well, now that youth all has another season under their belt. Now that youth is coming in, and again, we lose to the best pitchers we've had, and we magically get flipping better. That's absolutely nuts. So imagine this lineup next year. And with this lineup, we're not going to have to push people like we did Lexi, like we did Kelly, like we did Sam, to where they pitch the entire game, most of the games. You have All-American, #1 transfer in America with a 2.14 ERA, Ruby Malin from Washington. Then you have Riley Crandall, another All-American, All Big 12. We've seen her on the circle dominate the Cowgirls, so thank goodness she's here. Another top 4, top 5 overall transfer in Riley Crandall. Then we have Kyra Aycock. Now, she has to make a decision. Wait, no, that was yesterday. She had to make a decision by yesterday unless there's like some exigent circumstances, and I didn't hear any decisions. So it appears as though Kyra Aycock is definitely back. And then you have the all-everything, darling, All-American high schooler that didn't even see the field, and Katie Coots. You also have Sophia Davis. You also have freshman Madison Hoffman. And you also have senior Catherine Ogg. So this is finally a deep, deep, deep pitching core. And we've seen flashes of what Kyra Aycock can provide. We saw what Riley Crandall could do to us. We witnessed, Ruby dominate everybody in the Pac-12 like, they were sleeping at the plate. And then we got Katie Coots, and then we got some of these other young cats. And then we've got Catherine, right, the steady veteran to kind of help orchestrate the staff. Hats off to you, Gajewski, for building something that is, in fact, brilliant. You deserve the stadium. Hopefully that's what's next, but at least we're fancying it up a little bit here for you, buddy. We will shift gears here into Brett Yormark, the man that we love and trust. At least I think we still do. But we have to get back to tried and true. Tried and true is FanDuel for you. Summertime means baseball. My favorite time. I love it. But we also got NBA finals and more. You can bet on these things in FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 back in bonus bets with any $5 winning bet. That's 200 bones back in your wallet, in your pocket, that you can use to bet on everything from MVPs, who's going to win the whole thing, Heisman, over, under, player, props, parlays, and more. Go get your $200 today by going to FanDuel.com/lockedon. Again, that is FanDuel.com/lockedon. Go there today to win in the pocketbook department with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Oh, but KB, the Big 12 is open for business. This has been something that we have loved and respected about Brett Yormark, as he's been very innovative. He's been very ahead of his time. Right, the WWE stuff that we were doing in Dallas, the Nelly concert and all that. This is some stuff that he's been doing that have ruffled the feathers of some of the other commissioners in the other leagues. Some of it's just because, oh man, why did we not think of that first? That's been who Brett Yormark is. Of course, he was instrumental in bringing in the Four Corner schools, negotiating through all that, having discussions with other countries all across the nation to potentially make the Big 12 a bigger, better brand. Even if that was UConn potentially coming in for basketball, even if that was somebody like Gonzaga coming in for basketball, and maybe even some baseball. So we've had plenty of faith in Brett Yormark, and he has done plenty of phenomenal things on behalf of us in Big 12 country. But this is two parts here, okay? One of the parts is the partnership, right, with the private investment company, and that is different. That's with the CVC, and that's $800 million to up to $1 billion. The benefit here is that in and of itself. So if you went on the high side, let's say it's $1 billion, you divide that by 16 teams, and on the high side it comes out to an extra 50 mil. Low side it's like an extra 42. So if you go on the low side of 800 million divided by 16, then you're going to get closer to that 40 range. Well, you factor the 31.9 in that was previously made, then you're putting the Big 12 right around the $72-ish million range, or 65, 72, right around there, which is more than the SEC and just a hair under the Big 10. Now, they're going to want 20% of the company. They currently manage 193 different organizations. They are worth over $207.4 billion. They made the presentation to the Big 12, right? It's not like Brett Yormark was seeking out some fun, fancy ideas. They put together a meeting and they orchestrated everything to go to Dallas. And obviously it's pretty serious because they put together this presentation as to why it would be a good idea for the Big 12 to allow them to give them $1 billion for 20% of the stake. Now, this is just from a conversational piece, a good thing, because it does prove that these people see that the Big 12 has a long way still yet to go when it comes to marketability and profit margins and viewership. That's what it's all about. Dion versus Gundy is going to help. Whittingham versus Gundy is going to help. You know, the Farmageddon battles, the BYUs versus TCUs and BYUs versus Baylor's. That stuff is going to help this conference considerably. We have to win. He's got to have representation in the playoffs for it to, you know, make more sense. But they see the Big 12 as a team that will get a representative in the CFP playoffs every single year. More often than not, we'll have the chance of getting at least 2 teams in. This is an opportunity for them. So it does make sense, right? Because from a financial perspective, if we can get money in our pocket, that means we make more than the SEC, which means we can divvy up more than the SEC, and we can piss the SEC off. That is awesome news. But I don't know. It's risky, right? Because I think realignment is not done. So if this were to be a deal, and let's say they gave us the full $1 billion, and they got their 20% of the company, and everybody in the Big 12 on top of that, the 31.9 that you're already getting, let's say we're, you know, pumping out 72, 75-ish million a squad. That's wonderful. Now, the downside is if realignment, you know, causes more chaos, then it could be some sort of like breach of contract, right? And this CVC partnership could say, no. The Big 12 is, y'all are stuck together, these 16 teams, because we say so. Or maybe it could be this is a profitability investment. And if you're not profitable enough, maybe you should trim some fat, maybe get rid of Cincinnati or something to that effect down the line. So that's the only downside, is how much control do they have? How much say do they have? What happens when realignment takes fold? Are they willing to renegotiate, or are they going to be, you know, pretty stuck on the original contract? There's a lot of fine print that needs to be, you know, narrowed down here. From a financial perspective, of course, it makes a lot of sense. This one, I'm kind of okay with, right? It feels like we're going this way anyways. Brett Yormark was able to help orchestrate something like this previously with the Barclays, having some naming rights and soccer or something to that effect. So this is not new to him. This seems to be the way of the future, possibly, but I have some concerns. And then the 2 parts, the naming rights, that I'm not a big fan of. Now, it would bring an extra $20 million per school. Now, if you take this CVC deal and you take this naming rights deal, then the Big 12 makes more than everybody else. Even the Big 10, SEC, doesn't matter. It's not even close. The problem there is you're giving control portions of the conference away. I don't know that's a good thing. And personally, I think it would be stupid for us to be the All-State 12 or the Dr. Pepper 12. Or I would hate it. I can't stand the idea of the naming rights part of this, but it is what it is, right? You look at the Thunder. I cannot stand that stupid Yellow Loves logo. They've got orange, they got blue, they got white, they got black, they got some uniforms that looked up, and then they got that stupid, massive Yellow Loves heart on their jerseys. It makes me not want to buy a jersey. Now, I know the jerseys you buy don't have the Loves logo on it, but I'm not going to buy it because it looks ridiculous. And now the Big 12 could be doing the same thing. We could be rocking a bunch of Dr. Pepper All-State bull crap all over us. I can't stand that part of it. The CVC, private investment, $1 billion. I'm okay with that, right? That makes some sense. But this naming rights thing, I don't like it. I think it's junior high bull honky. But unfortunately, it's trending, right? This happened with basketball, and I didn't like it then. I thought it was stupid, but it happened. And basketball players essentially make more money. So now you're seeing these logos all over their jerseys, and it looks absolutely ridiculous. But at the same time, if it's more money for recruiting and more money for NIL, more money, it does make sense. I just don't like the naming rights portion of it. The CVC, sure. I mean, it's business. Brett Yormark's a businessman. It's a business deal, and it makes business sense. The All-State Big 12, Dr. Pepper Big 12, alopecia, whatever, Big 12. I don't like it. But both of these deals seem somewhat inevitable. It's only a matter of time. And then with the CBC deal, the reason why it almost feels like it's partially a done deal is because the Big 12, obviously, on behalf of CBS and other people, put this information out. So this is not, secret. The problem with that is, the ACC is kicking themselves because the ACC is struggling. You're looking at certain media types, they're going to say that the ACC is great, but they're not. They're not in a great spot. They've got a bunch of participants in the conference that aren't happy with how things are structured, how things are going, how the voting has been done, how the contracts have been done. The ACC is just flailing around trying to find stability. Meanwhile, the Big 12, who has plenty of stability, is over here making money moves to potentially grow more business. And that's the thing is, if the information is now out there, the ACC is now going to scramble to do the same thing. So if this is a deal that we don't do, now we know the ACC is going to do it because the ACC needs this money. We don't necessarily need it, which is why I think we should wait a little bit on both. I hate the naming rights idea. All right. I can't stand it. But the CBC, private equity company, because I see the Big 12 continually being successful, I think it's a pretty good idea. If the Big 12 starts sucking, and then you have that CVC contract here in a few years, that could become slightly problematic. But as it sits right now, the Big 12 is trending up. There's nothing indicating they're going to be trending down anytime soon. In this season of capitalization, we should wait. I do think that Brett Yormark pulled the trigger a little too early on this last deal, right? If you recall, when he did that deal, TCU was like 9-0, ranked number 8 in the country, something like that. Brett Yormark could have rode the TV viewership, TCU to the national title wave. He could have, and he could have got us more money. But he chose to take the deal earlier than necessary just to kind of put some more pressure on the Pac-12 and add solidification to the Big 12. So this is another one of those instances. I feel like since it's out there, it's kind of already in motion and it's kind of already a done deal. And they're kind of just prepping us to let us know, hey, by the way, the Big 12's going to do this private equity sharing stuff. And as long as the Big 12 keeps winning and we keep being profitable and we keep getting bigger in viewership, then this CBC partnership will be a beautiful thing. It's the buts, right, that are slightly problematic. All right. So we're going to have this one right here. We've had plenty of commits. So we're going to talk about commits on the next episode. That's going to be pretty fun. A little check-in real quick. Doing the tally-in for the ticket meet and greet autograph giveaway. So far, Robert Pierce, you are leading, sir. Puglia, you got some ground to catch up. Wet Blanket was winning at one point in time, and then him's got all butthurt about me putting out some stuff that he didn't appreciate. But you were in the running, Wet. Alrighty, y'all. That's all we're gonna have for this one right here. Next time, we'll talk about commits, some other pretty fun stuff. Alrighty, y'all. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen. As always, God bless. You know I love you. Like it if you like the daggone thing. Dislike it if you don't. That's okay, too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe to the podcast with people out there. You know what to do. You know what you do. Hit the stars. Leave a review. Alrighty, y'all. Later, my taters.